Ayup, Norlin here. So this launcher can hit nearly 4 million damage a shot. And in this video, I'll show you how you can achieve it, as well as a quick update on my Enzo build. At first glance, the R4 doesn't seem that impressive, holding a modest DPS of just over 100,000 damage. But it sits with a critical hit rate of 50%, meaning half your shots unmodded will be a critical hit, so deal double damage. Bear in mind, I have some innate attributes on my cannon that increase my explosive damage, my crit damage, so the numbers you're seeing will be a little bit higher than a plain base version, but easy to roll if you've got the resources to do so. Also, I've increased the energy of my R4 and I've modified one slot with a socket. So there's a little bit of investment, but it's not too bad. So with my mods slotted, the cannon deals 500,000 on an uncrit shot and then 1.4 million generally on a crit shot. Also, every 5 or 6 shots or so, it will deal 2.5 million, and that number can even creep up to 4 million damage if certain conditions are met and mod cards activate. And because of its high initial single shot damage, it applies massive dot damage to enemies depending on what elemental mod you have equipped. Right, so going over the mods more in depth, as you can see, the value of the gun does 700,000 damage per shot generally, and with my testing we'll either do double that for a crit shot or even 3 times that for a crit shot. This seems to be affected by its damage splash drop off range, so depending on where you hit an enemy. Some enemies have weird hitboxes, so it applies differently, but generally you're looking in between that 2 times or 3 times damage value. So the first mod card you want to invest in, and this is the one I have socketed, is Action and Reaction. This increases explosive attack damage by 61%, but increases its recoil by 20%. But it doesn't really matter for a single shot launcher. The next card I invest in is Strengthen First Shot. This is the ultimate card, so your one special mod that you want. So on this, after your first reload, your next attack deals a plus 200% damage with a 10-second cooldown. Even though it says firearm attack, it still applies to rocket launchers. I just think they did it like this so you can use it for your like sniper or shotgun if you invest into it. But firearm damage boosts still work for launchers, but I don't think launcher damage boosts will work for anything else. So when it's this way around, it's perfect. And this is the mod card that's giving me them insane damage numbers when it activates. The next mod is Rifling Reinforcement. This gives you a flat increase of 32% to your explosive damage, so this is in every single build basically for any launcher. After that, grab Better Concentration. This will increase your critical hit damage by 37.2%, so further increasing its damage every 2 shots basically because of its really high crit chance. The next mod you want will be your elemental card, so your adds fire attack or adds toxic attack. This will be switched out depending on what you're fighting because enemies have different resistances. So just level this one up as high as you can depending on how much energy you have left. And finally you want the card Commando Marksmanship. This further increases your crit damage as well as gives you a tiny bit of general damage as well. So this will round up the build basically. And if you're looking for the Gaudian R4, simply go to the Moonlight Lake on the Vespers and there's a defense mission located here. It takes about 2 minutes and it has a 50% drop rate. So it'll either drop your first game or your second game. It has the same percent chance to drop depending if you're playing on hard mode or easy mode, so quite an easy farm. So the gun in action with my Enzo build, which you can do pretty much all the content, all the base content you're allowed to do solo basically by yourself. Because you obviously regen ammo for your cannon and you can regen your shields every time it drops. So as you can see, the cannon absolutely chunks Dead Bride. It doesn't do as much damage as some other builds in the game, but it's pretty much a self-sustaining build and can make the game easy for solo players. As you see, its initial damage applies really high dot damage to targets, so it makes it really good for Colossus fights. Right, next I'll be showing you the build I'm using for Enzo. I say this is about halfway through of the build I want to do. So I made a build earlier in the week, which basically got me through the whole game. This build's updated, so it has a few different mod cards. And when I finally get some of the class mods to drop, I've got another build in mind that I want to try. So this is going to change again, but this is currently the build I'm using. So feel free to pause the video to have a look at the mod cards more in depth. But basically you want to increase your shields as high as possible, even if you have to sacrifice a bit of health. Because the main goal of this build is every time you get to about half shields, pop your ability to regen your shields, which will have a cooldown that's so fast you'll only be without it for a few seconds. You can even reduce it so you've always got your drone, but that impacts how much mana you have, so you don't really want to fiddle with that. So yeah, basically increase your shields, increase your skill duration and your skill cooldown. Give yourself a bit of energy collection, because in your equipment and your reactors you'll have a bit of MP regen in combat, so that'll keep you stocked with mana to use. So yeah, because you've got such a low cooldown and high skill duration, your other drone that gives you ammo and gives your teammates ammo will constantly feed you with heavy ammo for your rocket launcher. So that's how it works basically. You feed yourself ammo and shields, and you constantly have energy to feed your abilities. But yeah, that's about it. This video is mainly focusing on the Gaudian R4. I just wanted to throw in an updated Enzo build there at the end. When the cards do drop that I want, and I've fully leveled everything up, I'll do a final Enzo build video. But as it stands, this is my character now, and it can pretty much solo all the solo Colossus that you're allowed to fight, because there's a few of them that you need a team or be in a public match to fight. Oh, before I forget, the reactors and components you want to be using. The main thing to focus on is the perk of the reactor, because you're not using it for damage, so you don't need to match the energy. So make sure you've got duration and cooldown, because that will increase how quickly you can have your abilities back or you recharge. You've got to focus on shields and defense. Shields mainly because that'll bump how much shields you've got, obviously, but defense directly affects how strong them shields are. Make sure you've got a tiny bit of MP recovery in combat, because that'll also help with keeping mana. And the card you've got that increases mana recovery will apply to that. So in combat you'll actually generate more mana than when out of combat with this build. But yeah, that's about it. Anyway, have a great day. See ya.